All right, looking at 2. Let's go through this here. There are 3 models developed to explain patterns in cities. We have concentric, think of it like a tree ring. We have sector, which would be like different little squares together. And then multiple nuclei, which is kind of like us here in Southern California. So here's concentric. It has a central business district, a zone of transition, a zone of independent workers' homes, a zone of better residencies, and a commuter zone. There's the commuters stuck out there. Sorry, I gotta hide this again. Sorry. Okay. So what we're looking at here is homes in Philadelphia. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is a sector model. And a good way to look at it is right there. It's like a really bad sliced pizza, like a terribly sliced pizza. We have our central business district, right, still in the middle. We have our industry. This would be this industry area. We have our low-class residential, which is right kind of by the central. So you can see right there. Middle class there. And then high class, this stretched here. So this model shows the city developing with wedges or corridors radiating from the CBD, as seen in Chicago's strip of high-class residential housing. So Chicago actually has this, and a lot of Latin American cities are like this too. There'll be like an avenue. Millie, you're not helping. Shush. Okay. Multiple nuclei. This is very much us. So what do we have? We have our central business district, boom, boom. Our wholesale light manufacturing, boom. Our low class, man, it just sounds terrible. Low class residential, boom. Medium class, boom. Heavy manufacturing, boom. Outline business, Millie, shush. Can't even think with it. Boom. And then residential and industrial. So there's industrial there. And then there's your residential. So this model displays different activities in different nodes. Like Harvard Square serving the center, you would have like Harvard Square serving as the center of services for students in Cambridge. So applying the models. When we look here, we can see a concentric pattern. See? Like a tree ring. This is for Houston. And when we look at income, you can see the tree ring kind of follows the same thing. People with money in Houston want to live out here away from the downtown in the suburbs. They go further and show us our race and ethnicity. So income is kind of matching this. We have communities of color here within the 8, and the income is not as high. Wait, did I need a... Oh, they want to say that that's a part of multiple nuclei. So this is like, see how they're like spread apart? That would be multiple nuclei. Okay, A represents a newly built ring in a high income sector. B, same sector, but lower income. And then C here is the same sector, higher income, but nearer to the CBD. So it's built up. It's near to the central business district. So in Europe, we're going to look at Europe here. The street market in Paris reflects the higher number of wealthy residents in and near the central business district compared to America. So there's usually wealthy people in the center in Europe. Paris does not have skyscrapers. So Europe preserves its old areas. That's for tourists. And then out there, it's kind of weird, right? Instead of the suburbs, you have skyscrapers out there. Age of housing in Paris does follow the concentric model. So as you are in the middle, it is older, and as you move out, it's newer housing. Incomes follow the sector model. We have different chunks of incomes here. There's a sector of money. There's a sector of not as much money. There's a sector of the least amount of money. So housing in the outer ring in a high income sector, apartments in the same ring, that is there and there. But lower income sector, housing in the same sector, income sector as, oh man, this is just very confusing for you probably. I'm sorry. I don't like this one. Let's move on. I don't like that one. So back to this. This is much easier to understand. The immigrant neighborhoods in Paris follow the multiple nuclei. So you have the downtown here. And what Paris has done, when you're downtown, you see rich Parisians and everyone living the grand life. Where they've put their immigrant communities is on the outskirts. So, for example, Algerian or Moroccan immigrants will live in these outskirts areas, kind of like suburbs. It's kind of like a reverse of what we have here in the United States. So they want us now to look at ancient Beijing. So in A here, this is the Yuan Dynasty. That is the way the city was set up there. But in the Ming Dynasty, it's renamed, and you can see different organization. There's the imperial city. And then you have the couple important buildings there. This is an old building here. The Drum Tower was the center of Dadu, the city that became Beijing. So this would be that early city center. The Temple of Heaven was built in the outer city of Beijing in the 1400s. So this is much easier to understand too. This deals with colonial legacies. So when people were colonized, Europeans brought their plan for cities and imposed them on those new places. And a great example of this is Fez in Morocco. You can see the old town with its windy streets built pre-European contact, where the streets are very close together to keep shade because it's hot. And then you can see the new city of Fez. So look at the street densities. New, everything is wide apart, really wide streets, and an old city very close together. Once again, a lot of this has to do with the weather of the time. So here, you're out in the street, burning up in the sun. There, you're able to hide in the shade. This is Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. In Vietnam, French colonial authorities demolished the old city and imposed their ideas of urban reform, including cathedrals. So the French were Catholic, and they did bring Catholicism to Vietnam, and this included building a lot of new cathedrals, probably on top of some Vietnamese building that was important, and they probably just put a cathedral on it. So this is a good image here. They do a good job breaking these down. You have the three models right in front of you. So models of urban structure have been adapted to fit different developing countries. A, the concentric zone model was modified to model cities in suburban Africa. So, central business district, traditional market, ethnic neighborhoods, mining, manufacturing, informal townships. Another word for informal townships would be the slums or the favelas or the barrios or any other type of name that usually I just think of favelas because those are all through Brazil. So then B here, this is McGee modeled a Southeast Asian city, multiple nuclei is there. And then this last one, we have sector. A lot of the ones in Latin America are going to be sector. Like with that, that central street that's all pretty, that has all the expensive houses on. So Curitiba in Brazil, they're doing concentric model here. And as you move out, the income goes down. So people want to live in the city center. So, that's a point. In Latin American cities, the money's in the middle. People aren't moving out to suburbs. Informal settlements. This is a great example of what an informal settlement look like. This is a slum or a favela, however you want to say it. This one, they don't have where it's from. Somewhere tropical, might be Brazil. Doesn't look like I have enough high rises though. So I'm not sure where that one's at. South Africa. South Africa has multiple nuclei based on race. This is where apartheid was. People were divided by race. The division of races in, I'm not going to say this right because this is Afrikaans. It's the Dutch derivative language. And here I go. Pietermaritzburg. Things were divided by race. Central business district. White with physical barrier and highway. Colored, black, Indian. So color would be mixed. And each were forced to live in different areas. Obviously, this would be the one that was given the nicest area at this time. Concentric zones in Brazil. Here's Sao Paulo. You can see the wealth, and as you move out, there is less wealth. So Sao Paulo's development follows the sector model, while informal settlements occur in a concentric zone away from the center. So they're saying that this is a sector type. And then there's the informal settlements. I think I did say that this was concentric because it did look concentric to me, but here they're calling it sector. Informal settlements in a concentric pattern. Okay, so they're saying this is concentric and this is sector. I guess. That one looks more concentric. But anyhow, you know the difference. Okay, let's look at Mexico. 3 stages. Early Aztec, Spanish colonial, and then crazy rapid development since Spanish colonial. In the early days, Tenochtitlan, on Lake Texcoco, you have this nice grid model, well organized, set up with the little islands there. Everyone's having a good time. Then boom. Oh wait, it's not boom yet. This is still Tenochtitlan. So set up around the religious center. This is a lot of time in ancient cities. The concentric center would be something religious. Then this is going to be after colonial, typical Spanish style with a square. And yes, they demolished the temple to build that there. And then since then, it has just grown like crazy. And this is like what we look at today. And it is a sector one. If we zoom in, we would see sector. But from here, it looks very much concentric. Okay, Mexico City's informal settlements are on the outer ring. This is where the informal settlements are. The barrios or the poor areas are, in Brazil, would be the favelas. But this is the rich area. That's that sector.